Hi, welcome back. This is a short video on, hopefully short, on user input. So getting user input at runtime. So far we've been working with programs where we're hard coding values, right? So in this program I make two integer values, num1 and num2, and then I want to know what num1 divided by num2 is, and I want to know what num1 mod num2 is. And so if I compile and run, I can see that 25 divided by 7 is 3, and I can see that 25 mod 7 is going to give me 4. So this is fine, but if I wanted to have a bunch of examples, and maybe I want to know now what 32 mod and divided by 13 is, I have to physically change the program right now the way it is, and then I have to hit compile again, and then I have to hit run again, and then I see, oh, okay, answer 1 is 2, so 32 divided by 13 is 2, and 32 mod 13 is going to give me 6. So each time I want to rerun with this with new values, if I hard code them like this in the program, then I have to recompile before I can rerun. So user input allows us to prompt the user down here for the input to enter these numbers, and we'll assign them to the variables at runtime. So there's quite a few things we have to add to our program in order for that to work. So try to follow along, and then definitely practice doing it on your own. So I'm going to go back to the slides for a minute and we are focusing on input here. So this is input to the program, and in the slides there is this slide that's quite helpful because all the things in bold are the things I have to add to my code. And so this looks like quite a lot, and I don't want you to worry about it too much. I'll talk about the pieces and we'll go add them together. So this program is different, so there's going to be one variation from here, but we will talk about it. So the first thing is, in order to receive user input, I'm going to have to create this object that's designed to handle input from a keyboard. And so we're going to need to use scanner, and so to get access to the scanner class I need this import statement. This goes outside of the public class. So when I display, I use this system out print. That's something that comes with Java for free, but some of the other classes, if we want to use them, we need to tell Java that we're going to use them. So now I'm telling Java I'm going to be using this scanner program. So the next step is to make a scanner object. So you can say scanner, and we're going to be reading from the user, so you could call it user input. That's kind of a long name. Sometimes people just call it input, and sometimes just in. So at this point, this would look like any other variable declaration, right? Here's the type of the variable, and here's the variable name, and I get to pick that. So I've picked the name in, and now I'm going to initialize that variable, and this is going to look different because this is an object now. So the in variable is going to equal new scanner and then system.in. So this tells it that the in scanner object is going to be reading from the user's keyboard entry at runtime. So we need the system.in there, we need the parentheses. Now, because my screen is small here and I want to fit things on, I'm going to remind you that this we can combine into one statement like that. So you will more often see it as one statement, but remember it's still declaring something, and then this side is initializing it or instantiating it, we sometimes say with objects. Okay, so I've got the scanner object, and right now if I compile and run, nothing really changes yet because I haven't used it yet. So I need to use this, right? I'm still got this 32 hard-coded. So what we're going to do is first I need a way to tell the user that I want them to enter something. So here I'm going to do a print line or a print and say enter number 1. And that's it, semicolon, just like that. Now right now, remember this is just an output message right now, right? So if I compile it and run it, it's still not prompting the user, well, it's prompting them for the input, but it's not reading it in, right? I still haven't used this. So here's where that magic comes in. So first I'm going to combine these again so that I can fit more on the screen. So I'm going to put that into one line like this. So that's what it would have looked like originally. But now, instead of hard coding this 32, I prompted the user. I'm going to go read in what the user types. So to do that, I use the scanner object, and then I say next int. So because this is an integer, I want it to go and read in an integer value from the user. So let's just see how this one works. So I'm going to compile. The I has to be capital, the parentheses have to be here. A lot of this stuff will make sense, more sense as we go on in the year. But for now, we need to make sure we're following the details. Now look, it's waiting, right? So the addition of this next int is waiting for the user now to enter. So you actually click down here in this Run IO window. And I'm still going to type, no, we shouldn't do the 32, right? Let's do 28. So now when I hit enter, so I just typed in a 28 here, that 28 is going to be put into num1, and so these calculations are going to use the number 28. So indeed, 28 divided by 13 is 2, and indeed the remainder is 2. And right now I can just hit run again, and I can now type that 32 if I want. And I get different values. I can hit run again, and I can type 89, and it'll do 89 divided by 13, and 89 mod 13. So this gives us a way to have our program work for lots of different input, right? Hard coding numbers and compiling is cumbersome. We want something that can just be rerun, and based on user input, it will do different things. So I'm going to go ahead through the process again here for number 2. So system.out.oh, and I could just go up here and Control C and Control V and say enter number 2. So I definitely want to prompt the user, and I'll show you in a minute what happens if you don't, just so you're aware. So again, I've combined the declaration and initialization, and instead of doing this, I'm going to go back to that scanner and wait for the user to enter something. So this is getting user input. That's where I actually get it, is this input.next. And I could have just as easily done this, right? The only reason I combined them is to save space on my screen. So experiment with both, be comfortable with separating it or combining it. So here, enter number 1, and enter number 1 is 89, and this time I'll divide and mod by 14 and see what values I get. So remember, the variable is getting assigned whatever we run at user time, and then calculations are being done on those values. And again, I can just click run now. I don't need to click compile again, and I can have different values that I enter to get division and mod. So if you don't put the prompts, so I'm going to comment this, and we know that commented codes are not executed. Commented code is not executed. So now when I run it and it says enter number 1 and I say 78, you're going to notice here that after I hit enter, it's sitting here and waiting, right? When the program's done running, you get this operation complete. Well, this program's not done. It's sitting here, and it turns out it's waiting for the number here. But because I didn't prompt the user wouldn't know that they're supposed to enter a number, right? So I can still enter the 13 and that will go into num2 and it'll perform the calculations. But you want to make sure when you're reading user input that you're prompting for it so the user knows what they're expected to type. So I think that's about it for user input. So remember we had this, so I need this so that I can use the scanner class, and here is where I make scanner object to read input, and here's where I actually get the input, and this is just a prompt. Now in the notes, you'll notice here there's a throws exception. Later when we do file, when we access and read from files and write to files, this is going to be required. So right now it's not required, but it also doesn't break anything, it doesn't hurt anything, so remembering that may need to show up later and you don't need to worry about what it's for. So the other thing to keep in mind is the type of input you're reading in. You need to know what the type of input is. And so if we go over and we look at the notes, so if I'm reading in an integer, I want to say next int. But if I'm reading in a double, I'll say next double. Now remember, input was just the variable, right? I got to create that variable name right here, and I picked in instead of input. So that's the only reason you see input here. So here the object was created with the name input. So you take the name and then you do the dot next int. So there's a next double. If you want to read in a string, there is no next string. You just say next. And then you can also say next line, and that will read strings and spaces. So next will stop as soon as a space is encountered. So these are good to know. And let's see what else we have here. This is an example of where we read in a string with a name, and then I read in an integer with an age. And Java's not perfect, and when you tell a user to enter an integer, they better enter an integer. And so here, when it says enter number 1, if I enter the name for Mrs. A, my program's going to quit. Input mismatch. And here's all the scanner. You see scanner, scanner, scanner. Input mismatch. So I said that I was reading in an integer, and the person did not enter an integer, and the exception gets thrown. So this is the exception. This is the error. So some things you can do your check for understanding, but that's about it for user input. So don't forget to go practice on your own. Have fun.